Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It is March 21st, 2024, and I just got done doing a podcast with my partner, John. And what we were talking about was the recent settlement between NAR and the uh, the rest of the world. So this is my hot take after I've had a few days to process. I've read articles, I've watched the CEO of Redfin talk about the same subject. And I am reminded of when I was in this industry in 2007, 2008, and 2009, and about halfway through 2010. There's probably not that many of you that have been realtors for that long, but the handful of you that have been probably remember those days. This is just news that impacts the real estate industry. And while it's very important, it's not the same as banks not funding your loans, which is what was happening then. And if the bank wasn't funding your loan, it didn't matter if you had a buyer or seller for a home. You couldn't buy or sell the home because about 80% of all real estate transactions, maybe more, happen with the aid of a lending institution. So if they're not lending, you're not buying and you're not selling, which impacted a lot of realtors, as you can well imagine. At that particular time, over the span of that 2-year period, over 50% of all real estate agents surrendered their licenses. At the start of the real estate, the Great Real Estate Depression, let's just call it, there were about 2.1 million licensed agents. At the end of it, I think there was 1.5, so not quite 50% surrendered their licenses. Veteran agents, a number of different things started to happen. That's not the only effect that happened inside the industry. Another thing that happened is less experienced, less veteran people with a smaller book of business also started to move around and work for more established agents who either they could learn from or get some small financial support in terms and in turn serve their business. And the list goes on and on. In other words, people that were independent stopped being independents and went to work for other brokers who had more skill and experience or perhaps the financial wherewithal to survive a downturn in the market and give them some leads, help them out with a draw, whatever it was. A lot of that happened. If you looked at the 1.5 million people that were licensed, I would guess that 30 to 40% were making moves inside the real estate industry that basically meant they were changing their career. For some of you listening to this or watching this, this is going to be brutal news. Anybody that's for year 1 through 3, unless you're breaking records already, you're gonna have a hard time, especially if you were leaning on like a lead gen system or something like that in order to help you get top results. This is going to be difficult news. For the other 70, 80% of you that might be watching this video, this is going to it's going to be a little bit challenging right now, but it's probably going to be the best news that you're going to get in the last 4 or 5 years. And why? Because number one, a lot of professional real estate agents have not had the years of experience yet to feel fairly confident in creating and in maintaining a service package as it relates to a buyer side commission. So nobody's saying that anything as it relates to commission is actually impacted. The way that this commission gets paid out is what's impacted. Real estate agents after July, more likely August, September, or October, not July, probably deep down in the year, the MLS is going to stop taking the commission out of the seller side automatically, which means that all buyers agents are going to have a commission clause written into what is likely a new agreement that's going to have to happen on the buyer side, that once somebody hires you, you're going to have them sign an agreement that says that you're their contracted agent. For any professional salesperson of any kind, real estate or other, having an agreement in place to protect your labor, to protect your efforts is a good thing, not a bad thing. And you're probably going to heave a sigh of relief that you finally get to have somebody sign a contract for you to serve them on the buyer side. that it's going to be an industry standard across the board. So finally, you get to protect your time and your energy. You get to dictate your rate, which is going to be a huge relief. As we keep moving through this market, here's a crazy thing for all of you. We're not in a buyer's market, we're in a seller's market. We're going to be in a seller's market for a little while longer. But there's going to be a time when like prices are going to remain inflated and people are going to have a really hard time moving listings. And at that point, if you've got a better than average process to find a more qualified buyer, which some of you do, you're going to be able to actually probably request additional commission or additional fees. And since people are going to be used to signing agreements with you on the buyer's side, this is actually going to open up new revenue opportunities that have never been available to you. From a professional agent standpoint, the world is your oyster right now, especially a professional agent who's been selling at the top 1 to 2% or 10%, probably even maybe even the Pareto principle, the top 20% of you. Now you have the opportunity to create a buyer service package that you could support in digital platforms. You can just support in written contracts. It just depends on how you're doing your marketing currently. And you can say, these are the 10, 15, 20, 30 things that we do on the buyer side. You can also start to offer guarantees that are service-based, such as we guarantee that we will find you a home and negotiate it into a price at such and such a rate, and you lock that person into an agreement. Any incredibly good salesperson that gets put in front of a prospect will understand the psychology of that prospect well enough to be able to get them to sign an intent letter or an intent contract. And as part of that intent contract, your commission rate will be included. I really strongly believe that the only people that will probably end up being affected by this are not experienced real estate agents. I think that for the vast majority of you, you're going to discover that your competition is going to dwindle. You have the right to set your pay, and it only requires a single step. So some people who are not able to compete on service or experience or results or reviews that they have online, that very small handful of people, well, that I misspeak. 25% of the real estate industry might be impacted. If you're year number 1 through 3 in real estate, you've been relying heavily on systems, you don't have strong word of mouth, you don't have reviews, you never bothered to build a website, you didn't use any of your revenue and reinvest it back into either digital or old traditional forms of marketing, such as like mailing, like a geographic farm. If you haven't defined your marketplace, I can go on and on. If you've basically you haven't hired a coach, you don't understand what you should be doing with your real estate business, you've just been raking in the money while you got it and taking no efforts to protect your profession, unfortunately, and I do not say this with any level of joy, I just say this as a person that's owned a lot of businesses and a person that has been put out of business by making these mistakes in the past. It's when things slow down or when you're dealing with a lot of revenue that you know is based on an economic factor, like a once in a lifetime set of circumstances that created our recent white hot real estate market. You bank that money and you also work hard on personal development and business protection concepts, build websites, take long-term views, make sure that that money is getting reinvested in such a way, because if there's an incredibly high, may be a few years down the line, but an incredibly low is coming. It's just the way the market has always worked. So I am interested in having a conversation though with all of you. So I'm doing this video on YouTube Live. I'm going to have my team like optimize it, create a clever little title. But I'd really love if some of you would leave me comments and let me know what your thoughts are about what I've said, about how you think the industry is going to roll out. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Ultimately, the people that follow me on my channels are the people that videos like this are made for. And I really want to hear all of your opinions on where you think that this is going. Is it going to impact you? Let's start there. Is it going to impact you personally? Do you think that it is or it isn't? Are you waiting to see if it's going to impact you, or are you just doing business as usual? Are you making any changes in your real estate business that relate to this? Yes or no? Do you think that you're going to have to? Yes or no? All right. That's a good enough series of questions. I'll be very, very grateful if any of you can ask me. I guarantee you I will respond to all of them, no matter where you see this video or what platform you see it on. All right. Thank you. Until next time.